Nighttime on Still Waters. This is NB 506812, narrowcasting into the night from somewhere on Britain's waterways.
'8th of December, Monday. A ragged river of rooks stream across a watery sky on purposeful wings. They rise and circle around the one oak. The fire of their jubilant chatter warms the day. The wind is blowing chill through the rushes where the moorhens lie low, and fallen leaves glisten and lie slick on the towpath mud. The night is dank and heavy with cloud, and the moon has several hours yet before it rises. So tonight we float on dark waters, starless and moonless. This is the narrowboat Erica, narrowcasting into the darkness of a mid-Advent night, to you, wherever you are. Greetings. I was hoping you would be able to make it. How are you? It's so good to see you. Let's get into the warm. The stove is glowing cherry red, the kettle is just coming to the boil, and there's a seat waiting especially for you. So step aboard, come inside, and welcome aboard. As the days tilt toward the solstice and the shortest day, the canal takes on that sleepy aspect once more. Most boats, well, locally at least, have now either returned to their home moorings or have reached their winter moorings and are snuggling down for the break. And I wonder whether the ducks notice their absence. Possibly not. In colder weather, they appear to gravitate in large groups to those places where boats are around, like the moorings. Possibly they're drawn by the prospect of a sympathetic handful of oats or duck food. Maybe they can also detect the slight warmth of the hull of a liveaboard boat. However, it's generally remained too mild for that. So most of my meetings with them occur in my meanderings along the towpath, clustering in groups of around 10 or so, strung out up and down the canal. And when I come across them, there's usually at least one pair that seem to keep themselves to themselves, quite happy to potter around together at the edges of the main group, slipping away from time to time to forage and feed, chuckling and chuntering to each other softly, and then returning to keep a distant orbit. It's not that they're not welcome or have been rejected by the rest of the group. For as I watch, sometimes they join the group fully or paddle their way together through the throng without so much of a ruffled feather from the rest of them. It's just that they seem to prefer their own company. It's not that they're antisocial. They're just not joiners. And when I come across couples like these, I can relate to them entirely. They're like Donna and me, and actually like quite a lot of boaters. Not anti-social, just happy to live a little bit apart, on the periphery of things. The more I see duck communities, the more I realise their complexity and nuance. And after all, it's been known for a long time that in each bird species there is a range of different personalities. In fact, it has been argued by some ornithologists and ethologists that a mix of introvert and extroverts, the reckless and the timid within a flock, is actually necessary for their survival. It's easy to mistakenly think of December as a time of dormancy when there's very little happening and any signs of life is hunkering down until spring. But it's not really true. Even now, new growth can be seen. And I'm not referring to the worrying examples of plants mistaking the mildness for late autumn or spring, but along the towpath and the hedgerows, the lime greens and emeralds of new growth can be spotted alongside the older, darker greens of ivy, mistletoe and bramble. Cleavers or goosegrass are feeling their way along the ground, making their first claims to territory given up by this year's spring and summer growth. Dead nettle too. And I've also spotted tiny shoots of cow parsley springing up. And above us, the rooks are busy with their nests, revisiting the towering rookeries, inspecting their old nests abandoned this spring, making repairs, squabbling over sitting rights, perhaps making a new one. And herons too are nest building. Like the rook, they lay their eggs early too, usually January time. And like rooks, their nests can last for decades, being rebuilt, repaired, reused, year after year. And it explains why I haven't seen the local heron for a while. Perhaps he's gone north, up water, to the big heronry just past the 5 poplars, a couple of miles away. And I can't help wondering what it must be like for these famously solitary birds to suddenly be forced into close proximity. It's not uncommon for heronries to include 40 or so nests. For most of their lives, they lead such apparently antisocial lives, and now for these few months to be thrust into such close communal proximity with one another must take some mental adjustment. I struggle even to imagine how the pairs manage to get on. Other days around the nest filled with long, awkward silences. Little sighs and, "Well, this is all very nice," and muttered tuts with side glances when one eats too noisily or keeps laying a twig the wrong way round. It's always lovely to hear from you, so thank you for getting in contact. And over on YouTube, hello and thank you to Grime and Glory, and it's absolutely my pleasure. And on Blue Sky, hello to Angela, and also to Charlie Alice Raya, and thank you so much for your really kind words and shout out. And also hello and thank you to Jen Ratcliffe. And hello to Jason and Karen as always, and to mine Shambles. Thank you as always. Yeah, the new moon at the time of winter solstice will mean that it'll be a very long dark night. And yeah, it does seem to ring with symbolism. I like your plan to light a candle at the solstice. I think right now we need the light of your candle. And a really big thank you to Jeff Taylor for such a wonderful and thoughtful gift. Thank you so much. And Donna, Maggie and I wish you and yours a very happy Christmas too. And also, as ever, a very big thank you to all of our Lockwheelers for supporting this podcast. They are Susan Baker, Mind Shambles, Clare Hollingsworth, Kevin B., Fleur and David Mcloughlin, Lois Raphael, Tania Yorgey, Andrea Hansen, Chris Hinds, Chris and Alan on the narrowboat The Land of Green Ginger, Captain Arlo, Rebecca Russell, Allison on the narrowboat Mukka, Derek and Pauline on Silver Fox, Anna V, Orange Cookie, Mary Keane, Tony Rutherford, Arabella Holzapfel, Rory with MJ and Kayla, the narrowboat Precious Jet, Linda Reynolds Burkins, Richard Noble, Carol Ferguson, Tracie Thomas, Mark and Tricia Stowe, and Madeline Smith. Thank you. The Advent candle is burning past the halfway point, and thoughts turn naturally to Christmas. I have to admit that we're both really looking forward to the rest, to being able to settle down beside the fire with a small pile of books and just escape for a while. Personally, the year has been nothing like so tumultuous than it was last year. However, even so, we both feel the need of a rest, and it is nevertheless felt, to me at least, tumultuous. I suspect it's partly because it's this year that I have begun to properly process Dad's death, and, although it might sound strange, Mum's too. And work has been full on and without let up recently too. Like most places, despite the attempts to suggest otherwise with rather corporate nods to festive jollities, work life these days doesn't really seem to follow our human calendars. And even now, all talk and emails are lining up the next hurdles, deadlines, obstacles to be negotiated at the dawn of the new year. Although it's nothing particularly new, and even way back when the pressure of assessment grading throughout Christmas has always been there, somehow this year it seems to be far more pronounced. Even while gigantic inflatable Father Christmases and snowmen flail in the winter gales and social areas ring out Christmas music, carolling that this really is a very merry time of the year, it's difficult to really think of Christmas and slowing down. There are little glimpses of it, though. Seated around a table, a large group of female Muslim students giggle and chat over a pile of books and laptops. And then, all at once, they break out in a spontaneous and gleeful rendition of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. A couple of students passing grin and half-heartedly join in. Then later, in one of my classes, one of my students hands out Christmas packs of chocolate to everyone. I turn around and on the AV lectern is a packet for me, and I'm staggered by the generosity of this small action. I know that she's spending all her spare time working to pay her fees, and I know she can't really afford it. Her friend good-naturedly tells her off. Her friend, although barely out of school, is determinedly working towards becoming ordained as a vicar or a chaplain. I think she'd make a good one. One with enough fire and heart to give her bishop some grey hairs. They both laugh. And I still feel slightly awkward as I place the chocolates next to my bag on the floor. And then I'm reminded that this is Christmas after all. And perhaps she or they both understand Christmas better than their theology lecturer. But taking time off, now more than ever before, seems like a luxury. However, we are now so close that I feel I can take my eye off the work ball, for a second or two at least, and enjoy the approach of Christmas. But Christmas is coming, and Advent, however you celebrate it, and in whatever way it means to you, is Advent. And we are now getting close enough for the deeper realities of life around the Erica to break through the mist. A week or so back, Shambles wrote, "December has come so quickly. Already the houses are lit up by strung LEDs with miniature Santa Claus climbing ladders and white reindeer slowly nodding, reminiscent of the old clockwork automatons, but without sound. Are you already bedecking Erica and brightening the towpath?" Yes. As customary, we have strung fairy lights down the cabin roof and over the bow that twinkle with a warm white light. They're quite dim and understated compared with some of our neighbours, but they suit us perfectly. And coming home from work in the dark, they provide a lovely and warm, welcoming light. And I have to say, and this might just be locally, but although some boats have gone all out this year with flashing lights and illuminated animals, etc., there's not been quite the amount as in previous years. There is still just over a week to go, and so things might change, but quite a few boats still have no real decorations, on the outside at least, which is a little bit unusual around here. And Donna has also put up the holly wreath again and tied it to the cratchboard. That's the triangular wooden and glass panel at the front of the boat. However, holly's very sparse around here, so we've had to make do with foraged twines of ivy. Sprigs of rosehip, hawthorn berries and sloe have also been threaded into it. It's become a bit of a tradition, weaving decorations from the shrubs we live beside. And the best bit is watching the berries diminish day by day, becoming sparser and sparser, as the birds come down onto the boat and help themselves to our foraged feast. Perhaps this time it's really a little bit about the merging and blurring of boundaries. And I'm not talking here in a religious sense, although it would work very well there too. After all, how can you understand the theological notion of the incarnation if not as a merging and melding of boundaries? But there seems to be something broader, wider, deeper going on here with this point in the great swing of the year that finds echoes in older, far older stories, and which then rings deeply within us. And how I think it's there to be found in the wider world. How in extremis, that the type which is more often found in the depths of winter, a cessation of order is required, that normally divides and separates groups and species. Here, at these times, duck, swan, and even timid flighty moorhens share the unfrozen pools of water in the ice, and join in the communal scavenging and begging from boat to boat. And it's perhaps the in extremis that many of us currently feel, that the breaking down of barriers can find some kind of voice to give it all expression. The birds feasting on the picked berries of our wreath maybe are doing me more of a favour than we are ever doing them. This year we took the decision not to have a Christmas tree. Having a gaily decorated boat filled with colourful festive decorations sounds great until you try to actually do it. When your room is just under 7 feet wide and the ceiling is a couple of inches above your head, the degree to which you can fill it with decorations is severely limited. And when it comes to putting up a tree, it can become a well-nigh impossibility. Of course, it all depends how the interior of your boat is fitted out, and we have found that ours is not really fitted out with Christmas in mind. So consequently, for the first time in our married lives, we have opted not to have a tree. It was a big decision. Each of the 39 years of our married life, we have brought an ornament to hang on the tree. And so each year, decorating the tree has become as much a celebration of our life together as it has been about Christmas. And that's been special, and I think important. Yet for the last couple of years, whilst we have loved everything about having a tree on board, it's become increasingly difficult to find a place to accommodate it. We even considered at one point of placing it in the stern, which had its own problems, but it also meant that it would have been out of sight when we were together in the evenings. And last year was the last straw. We found a usable spot, but it was also rather precarious upon which to perch the tree, if perch is the right verb to a Christmas tree. However, when the boat suddenly rocked because someone was getting on or off, it fell over twice, spilling the decorations everywhere and actually even breaking a couple of them. And so Donna's come up this year with an ingenious idea of fixing up twine and then stringing that along the cabin sides just under the ceiling. And then with little pegs, pegging up some of our most treasured decorations. And it has also meant that we can weave greenery, forage from the towpath along it, as well as some slices of orange and lemons that Donna's dried over the stove. It's our first trial, but so far it's working wonderfully. We have our precious space back, but it also looks really festive, but in a natural and not a synthetic way. And so, in the true spirit of Advent, we are quietly waiting for Christmas. And for us, nothing is really planned apart from a short list of books that I want to enjoy, and some walks from the boat that I want to take with Maggie or all three of us. For many years now, Christmas is a low-key affair. We stopped giving presents to each other quite a long time ago, preferring instead to share the time together. And initially it was just that time that we could close the doors, read, eat scrumptious food that we'd been carefully squirreling away during the weeks leading up to Christmas. However, recently, even the food has begun to be pared back. Not from any ascetic or abstemious reasons. Simply we're just finding that a sudden diet of lots and lots of rich food was difficult to digest in a number of ways. And so even there we prefer to keep things a little bit simple, tasty and simple. And so for us, Christmas is becoming more and more about the time and the space, enjoying being and the feeling of not having to do anything, be anywhere, other than the normal boaty jobs that always seem to need doing and are no respecters of seasons or cultural festivities. So we'll stoke the fire, put the kettle back on, settle down into a time of rest and slow walks beside the canal. 100% boring or 100% perfect, depending upon your temperament. And Christmas itself on the canals is generally somewhat of a strange time. Perhaps it might conjure images of festive boaters in Christmas jumpers merrily celebrating all together in some rustic and timeless way. But this is actually often far from the truth. It's for the most quiet. The majority of Liverpool boaters tend to be older, and trying to accommodate extended or even close family on board a narrowboat for a big Christmas dinner is pretty much impossible. Therefore, a lot of boaters tend to be away with family. And those that are left tend to be those who have come to the canals for a more solitary life, and so aren't too fussed by, or actually actively embrace, the lack of social activity. And they shy away from most attempts to organise anything approaching a formal get-together. So, most Christmas days, here at least, consist of shouted cheery greetings as we pass one another on dog walks, and sometimes, if the weather is good, late morning might see the emergence of small groups for a quick Christmas toast of some gifted champagne or wine, after which the stern doors are closed once more, and the most delightful sense of silence and peace once more descends upon the canal. And the dried sedge and rushes nod and bow on the Christmas breeze. And ducks draw lazy circles midstream. The rooks work busy among the ash, and the melancholy river of the robin's winter song A squirrel peers through a lattice of bare branches and waits for us too to leave. And so we close the hatch. The Erica gently rocks as if falling asleep. And for us at least, Christmas Day finally comes to the cut. And this is the narrowboat Erica, signing off for the night and wishing you a very restful and peaceful night. Good night. Temperature. Outside, 5.8 degrees. Inside, 21 degrees. Humidity, 92%. Dew point, 5 degrees. Wind direction, south. Wind strength, 10 miles per hour. Barometric pressure, 1023.7 falling. Cloud cover, 90%. Cloud ceiling, 28,000 feet. Precipitation, nil. Moon phase, 29.8% waning crescent. Day length, 7 hours 46 minutes. Sunset, 15:54. Sky casting, 8:09.